A look at the news making headlines in today's daily newspaper. We bring you sports, economic news, and international headlines. My name is Aina Raiza Kweyo. In today's midday news update, during the COVID-19 briefing which took place today, President Hage Geingob urged Namibians to listen to the reason and get vaccinated, especially when the nation approaches winter months. He stressed that it is in the best interest of Namibians and their families. All existing public health measures remain unchanged and have been extended until the 15th of May 2022. Health Minister Dr. Kalumbi Shangula this morning said the COVID-19 death rate and admission to hospitals of COVID-19 cases decreased significantly over the last 25 days. The Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration has issued a statement this morning and are taking great pains in pointing out what is expected when traveling with children. The statement shares that when crossing the borders, children need to be accompanied by their passport as well as an unbreached birth certificate. When a child is traveling with just one of their parents or any other adult, including relatives, the other parent or both parents that are not traveling need to have given a written consent to other parties to leave the country with their child or children. The letter needs to be backed by appropriate cross-identification, and if the other parent is deceased, the parent that travels need to be in possession of a death certificate that clearly links the deceased to the child or children's identification document and birth certificate. Children traveling alone must also be in possession of a letter of consent as well as a clear information pertaining to the people who will receive the child at the point of destination and the address where the child will stay. If you are unsure of what to do, Sakeus Kazikwa can be contacted for more information on the details on the screen. His office number is 061-292-2169. I repeat, 061-292-2169. And we'll be right back after the break. This is NMH at 1. Let's get into today's visual news clips. Following a peaceful demonstration through the streets of Grootfontein, illegal street vendors were yesterday given permission to continue selling their products in the town's main street for the time being, despite an eviction order by the municipality. Elvira Hatting was there.
We, the businessmen and women, only known as street vendors, who are also rates and taxpayers in Grootfontein, hereby once again decided to demonstrate in this way our constitutional rights as peace-loving and law-abiding citizens, so that our sadness can be clear to everybody. Therefore, we have organized this march to this building with a very disappointed hearts to say no against the eviction order.
How are you? I can say you are not fine. All of us are together.
Thank you.
I have heard you. The office is always open. And the marketplaces, we are busy with it. Yeah, we will prepare for you. But for now, you have to go back to your respective places and you must carry on, sell your things for your house. I know the situation.
My name is Moritz. My surname is Keinkop. I am the community activist in Grootfontein. We have been demonstrating according to our constitutional rights today, and we have submitted and over the petition to the Honorable Mayor, and our petition has been very well received. We were very concerned what will happen with us. We are very much happy. The Honorable Mayor response was very positive, and we really thank for her sympathy towards us. We have been given the right to go back to our marketplaces where we are doing business usually, to continue doing it as usually. So we are very much happy. We are very much excited.
I feel so happy that the mayor of Grootfontein gave us the opportunity to go and sell our products so we can be able to take care of ourselves, to create employment of the youth.
Namibri donates laptops worth over 3 million Namibian dollars to NAST and UNAM yesterday morning.
Forms part of Namibri's corporate social investment initiative in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The education sector experienced such a seismic shift in the execution of its mandate and needed to adapt to new ways of learning and communicating with students across the country. Students and lecturers had to operate from home and embrace remote learning. This shift came with the difficulties and new challenges for students as they had to adapt to the new normal way of e-learning. Due to a lack of resources such as computers and internet connectivity, many students felt left behind on the journey of education. Information obtained from the local media in 2020 revealed that approximately only 2% of the total school-going children had access to facilities required to have e-learning. UNAM and NAST had more than 8,000 students who did not have IT equipment in order to access e-learning.
Vice President Nangolo Mbuba recently visited the mass housing site in Swakopmund, where hundreds of houses have been left in various states of construction for years due to court battles involving the contractors. He expressed concerns that the houses were left in an incomplete state while there was an urgent need for housing in that town.
Vice President Nangolo Mbumba recently visited the mass houses site at Swakopmund, where hundreds of houses have been left in various states of construction for years due to court battles involving the contractors. Mbumba was accompanied by Irongo Governor Neville Andre, Swakopmund Constituency Councillor Siska Howard-Smith and Swakopmund CEO Alpheus Benjamin, while he inspected the site consisting of foundations, half-built houses, and finished but dilapidated and vandalized houses. Although he did not speak directly to the media, he did indicate that it was a concern that the houses were left in an uncompleted state, while there was an urgent need for housing in the town. He also understood that the court must take its course, but suggested that he would take the matter to the executive level. Howard Smith said, while the court matters drag on, at the end of the day, the people suffer because there are no houses for them.
I think residents of Swakopmund know this place quite well. This has been here for the last 7-8 years. As you can see behind me, it's up to foundation level. We have 290 houses that's half built or almost nothing, just foundation. And on that side, you'll be able to see there's some houses that's been built up to roof level. And they currently under a contractor's lien. So they've been standing like this for years now, while this is a battle that's ongoing in court. And the big thing for me is we have people in the informal settlement just over the hill in front of me, and they look onto these houses daily, but they can't live here. So they live in these shacks, they look out on these houses, and there's just everybody pulls up their shoulders and says nothing can be done. And I understand the courts need to take their course, but 8 years is too long. We have to look at a better way to serve our people than keep something dragging on like this for 8 full years.
Benjamin also expressed the hope that the cases could be resolved soon, because some of the houses are ready for occupation. He said that the Swakopmund municipality has plans to make the houses available footstoots and allow the new owners to construct them.
Because we have around about 291 houses available here, which some of them are ready for occupation. If, for example, the houses can be provided to the people at footstoots, for example, they can reconstruct them and add whatever needs to be added. This project is very important because we have around about 22,000 people in Swakopmund on our master list who are in need of housing.
The mass housing project was a brainchild of former President Hifikepunye Pohamba to address the country's critical housing crisis with a promise to build 148,000 houses by 2030. Since the program was inaugurated in 2013, a small amount of houses have been constructed and are at different stages of completion in the various local authorities and regions.
When we return, we will be taking a sneak peek inside Namibia's daily print publications. But first, a quick ad break.
Got me feeling fresh.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. The Namibian Sun leads with an application by businessman Otto Shikomba, commonly known as Nimboto, who convinced the judge that he is entitled to bail even though he stands accused of raping a young nurse. Judge Alice Governors granted bail, expressing her disappointment at the weak presentation of arguments by the state prosecutor. The Namibian Sun on its page 2 reports that Professor Muchinde Kachua failed with his application addressed to the High Court, where he tried to prevent Chief Vipura Kapoor from conducting meetings by Chief Counsel of the Overherero Traditional Authority. Kapoor is the chairman of the OTA and has in that capacity called for the meeting and implemented decision contrary to the wishes of Kachua. According to the High Court Judge Herman, Kachua currently has no right or law custody that is held by a paramount chief to bring such an application. The Republican leads with another court case that sees the widower of Sarah Mwilima claiming close to 18 million from the Ministry of Health and Social Services. Its management unit, Global Fund and VicMix Security Services for being partly responsible for the murder of his wife by Simata Simasiku in 2019. Fred Mwilima alleges that the colleague of his wife were well aware of the fact that Simasiku was mentally unstable and had told them that he hears voices, among them those of the deceased Miss Mwilima. The Republican on page 3 reports that the investigation of the Anti-Corruption Commission is once again questioned by the 3 of the accused in the fish rod scandal. It would seem as though the ACC investigated amongst the other 3 accused under the POCA law, asking that their assets be frozen, even though they were not entitled to do so. On its front page, the Allgemeine Zeitung today focuses on the public hearing conducted by the Parliamentary Standing Committee for Human Resources and Social Development, which had summoned the Public Service Commission to explain what is being done in order to avoid that people are employed by government based on falsified information and documents. On its page 2, the Allgemeine Zeitung tells more about a new Skalkaldium electric power transformation substation that is being erected outside Swakopmund. The substation should become operational by 2023 and will then regulate supply to power infrastructure of Swakopmund and Tamaraskia, as well as Namwater South Water Supply System, the Husab uranium mine, as well as the medium voltage power grid of Erongo Red. We'll be back shortly with more news. Stay with us. This is NMH at 1. Now let's continue with news from Namibia. The Namibian focuses on the controversial new regulation that attempts to perceive pension for the time when people reach their pension age. On its page 1, the paper leads with a report that Minister of Finance Ipumbushimi has in fact broken his silence by defending the introduction of the draft edition of the FIMA law. The minister pointed out that this is a draft and that consultations are still in progress. On page 3 of the Namibian, it reports that Banda Shilimela is suing the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform to pay his security company 21 million Namibian dollars for services rendered at the ministerial properties in Zambezi, Oshikoto, as well as the Kavango West and Kavango East regions. The new era leads with the Minister of Finance Ipumbushimi having now refused any audience to trade unionists and other interested or affected parties as regards the new FIMA law that sees workers having to preserve their pension when they resign from their job at any age below 55. On its page 3, the New Era reports the northern businessman Erastus Chico Shapumba has successfully fought the Oshakati Town Council over the old pen market known as Omatala. Shapumba had previously bought the property at a fraction of its apparent value, causing Town Council to revisit the sale and wanting to refund the businessman of his money. The court agreed with Shapumba that he had lawfully brought the property. The weekly NMH supplement Erongo focuses on road safety during the upcoming Easter weekend. Quoting officials, the paper urges people to be vigilant and obey road rules in order to keep away from road accidents. NMH supplement Business 7 takes an in-depth look at the Namibia's recent downgrade by Moody's rating agency, saddled with a sub-investment rating status, bulging debt and interest payment, low economic growth and very little fiscal space to move. Government has to be alerted against emerging social discontent. The Market Watch today focuses on the cost of borrowing. According to their report, the cost of borrowing is likely to increase by 25 basis points. This is expected to once again have a negative impact on borrowing and thus also the affordability of housing. Now, sticking with economic news, the taxman has extended the tax incentive program under which $11 billion in penalties was waived. This and more stories in the world of economics when we return. You are watching NMH at 1 and today in economic news. The taxman has extended the tax incentive program under which $11 billion in penalties was waived, while $1.32 billion Namibian dollars was collected and paid to the state. The deadline for the incentive was the 31st of January this year. This was said by Namibia Revenue Agency Commissioner Sam Shibute, who encouraged all taxpayers with outstanding tax dues to participate in the modified electronic incentive program and settle their outstanding tax. The tax incentive was introduced as the government way of cushioning Namibians in the view of hardship brought by the COVID-19 pandemic over the last 2 years. Shibute said under the modified electronic tax relief, 70% of interest occurred and 100% of penalties will be waived if taxpayers in areas register in ATAS on portals to pay their outstanding capital amount during the first 6 months effective the 1st of January 2022. It is estimated that charcoal exports generated more than 700 million Namibian dollars last year. Even though the industry experienced a challenging time in 2021, the market demanded for Namibian charcoal is increasing year on year, with more farmers turning to charcoal production to secure a better income. The Namibian Charcoal Association said that it reported a growth in membership as many new entrants into the charcoal industry have seen the importance of working closely with the association to support them. Membership figures grew by 58 members in 2021, bringing the total to 1,405. An estimated 10,000 tons of charcoal were exported last year, of which the majority went to Europe and the Middle East, while 40% went to South Africa. Now let's have a look at economic indicators. The value of the Namibian dollar has increased against these major currencies while maintaining its value against the Chinese yuan. No major changes are seen on the NSX. Paratus Namibia holding stock prices have dropped 0.10%, while local and overall index have also dropped. Brent crude oil and copper is down in value, while these other commodities have increased in value. In South Sudan, migrants have been given 2 weeks ultimatum to register and meet legal requirements in order to stay in the country. Stick around for the full story after the break. You are still watching NMH at 1. Now we take a look at the latest news in our neighboring countries. We will later extend it to the rest of the globe. South Sudan has given a 2-week ultimatum to illegal migrants to register and meet legal requirements to stay and do business in their country. The Director General Lieutenant Atema Morol Bies says 85% of Ugandan nationals who are residing in South Sudan entered the country without legal documents, and they have not obtained work permits either. It is not clear what measures migrants who do not register will face. Sources reveal that more than 1 million Ugandans are residing in South Sudan. Most of them are involved in construction sector as well as the retail sector. Millions of South Sudanese who fled the conflict in their country are living in Uganda as refugees. In October last year, the two countries scrapped visa fees requirements for their nationals to enter each other's territory. The move was rather to foster economic and political integration between the two countries, which are both in the East African community. Now we move on to our next story. 3 boys aged between 6 and 9 have drowned in a pit in the Greater Accra region of Ghana. A report shows that the children had left home to play around the area of the incident last Saturday morning and decided to wash down in the pit created by rainwater. The topsoil at the area had been removed due to illegal sand and gravel winning activities. Unknown to the children, the mudslide had created a pit, making the base muddy, a development that made it difficult for them to swim out of the stagnant water in the pit. Their bodies have been deposited to the morgue for autopsy and investigation by the police. The GA South Municipality Assembly stopped the illegal sand-winning activities about a year ago, but the vast parcel and disturbed land lies precariously with many death traps, especially in the rainy season. In our next story, South Africa, being hit by rainy and cold conditions, has halted businesses, operations, and several key road networks have been closed due to extensive flooding causing the recent heavy rainfalls in KwaZulu-Natal. The cold snap did not only spark ongoing power cuts, but also led to substantial localized floods as seen in parts of KZN. Transnet reported that the heavy rains have damaged the road in infrastructure leading into Port of Durban, affecting access to the terminals. Standard Bank has reported that 34 of its branches and support facilities in KZN have been closed, with those in Durban City as well as those along the South Coast and North Coast being the hardest hit. U.S. President Joe Biden has said his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin is committing a genocide in Ukraine. More on this after the break as we move over to international news.
Have you received a loan from NSFAF? NSFAF loan is the same as any other loan. It must be paid and settled. NSFAF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NSFAF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NSFAF loan, you risk being blacklisted or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information on how you can repay your loan, visit our website at www.nasfaf.na or visit our Facebook page or Twitter. Do the right thing and hashtag #paybackthemoney.
In international news this afternoon, U.S. President Joe Biden has said his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin is committing a genocide in Ukraine, where concerns are mounting over the killing of civilians and the prospect of a new Russian offensive in the country's east. Biden later stood by his characterization, saying Putin is trying to wipe out the idea of being able to be Ukrainian. I called it a genocide because it has become clearer and clearer that Putin is just trying to wipe out the idea of being able to be Ukrainian, and the evidence is mounting, Biden said. Biden's comments come just a day after Ukraine accused the Russian forces of attacking a train station in the eastern town of Kherson, killing more than 50 people, and as images of bodies on the streets of the town near Kyiv continues to draw global condemnation. In our next story, at least 53 people have been killed in landslide and floods after tropical storm Maggie devastated the Philippines. Rescue crews were still seeking to find survivors in flooded villages on Wednesday, digging through the mud and winding through chest-high water. However, the death toll from Sunday's natural disaster is only expected to climb, official says. Villages around Bay City are worse hit. The landslides, avalanches and overflowing rivers wiped out homes and buried many people alive. In one village, about 80% of the houses had been washed out to sea, a government official told the news agency AFP. Philippines National Disaster Agency has also reported death in southern Davao region, Maguindanao, and the central Negros Orientals province. More than 100,000 people in the southern and eastern Philippine islands have been affected by the storm, authorities said. Track stars Christine Mboma and Beatrice Misilinga are set to compete in the United States on Friday. More on this when we return with local sport news, but first a short ad break. Thank you for watching NMH at 1. We are back with a local sports news. Coach Hank Botha and his two prodigies, Christine Boma and Beatrice Misilinge, are hard at work preparing for Friday's athletics meeting at the Coleman Sports Complex in the United States. In our next story, Namibian international and Mamelodi Sundowns striker Peter Shalulile broke a 10-year record that was held by Siyabonga Nomvete for scoring at least 20 goals in the league after taking his tally to 21 goals. In our next story, the Eagles of Namibia won their first 50-over game against Uganda by 7 wickets. The two sides will face one another again today. In international sports news, Super Sports United have made contact with Benny McCarthy in hopes of appointing him as their new head coach. We expand more on this after the break in our international sports scene.
Choose your flex package with Paratus today. Sign up for ultra-fast fiber with the convenience of mobile LTE. That's 2 products in one bundle. It's new, it's one bill, and you can stay connected in more than one location.
For more information, visit paratus.africa/NA.
Always prepared. Paratus.
Let's take a look at the international sports scene. SuperSport United have made contact with Benny McCarthy in hopes of sensationally appointing him as the club's new head coach. McCarthy last month parted ways with Amazulu, where he was their head coach. In our next story, Real Madrid saw off a steering Chelsea fighting back to book their place in the Champions League semi-finals following a 3-1 defeat after extra time in the scintillating second leg at the Santiago Bernabeu on Tuesday to go through 4-5 on aggregate. Leinster second-leg champion cup clash with Conchard should tell SLC Sharks a lot about what they can expect when they host the crack Irish outfit in a crucial Vodacom Rugby Championship clash in Durban on the 23rd of April. We will be right back with the highlights after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to NMH at 1, and if you have just joined us, here are our highlights. The Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration has issued a statement this morning to draw attention to what is expected when traveling with children. South Sudan has given a 2-week ultimatum to illegal immigrants to register and meet legal requirements to stay and do business in the country. U.S. President Joe Biden has said his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin is committing a genocide in Ukraine, where concerns are mounting over the killing of civilians and the prospect of a new Russian offensive in the country's east. Coach Hank Botha and his two prodigies, Christine Boma and Beatrice Misilinge, are hard at work preparing for Friday's athletic meeting at the Coleman Sports Complex in the United States. The taxman has extended the tax incentive program under which 11 billion Namibian dollars in penalties was waived, while 1.32 billion Namibian dollars was collected and paid to the state. The deadline for the incentive was the 31st of January this year. Those have been our highlights. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 and spending your lunch hour with me, Aina Raiza Kweyo. Remember to tune in every every Monday to Friday at 13 as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. Stay with us for the compilation of news from across Namibia in our regional review segment. Have a great day.
Good day, viewers, and welcome back to yet another exciting show of Regional Review. My name is Monique Adams, and I'm the South correspondent for Namibia Media Holdings. Today, it's World Pink Day. It's a day where we fight against the discrimination of misogyny, homophobia, and bullying. So I'm inviting you to celebrate the diversity by wearing a pink shirt. So let's head right into the show. Today's news segment, on the 6th of April on a Wednesday, the COVID-19 vaccine launch took place at the Keetmanshoop Secondary School. Let's take a look at a few of the highlights.
For us to be vaccinated. And to launch this campaign, I must applaud the government of Namibia, and especially the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture that has embarked on this activity. Therefore, what I have said a bit earlier, I'm talking to the teachers and the parents, because the learners will believe what you are telling them. Are we together? If the teachers say that the vaccination you will be gone by after 2 years, and that's what the learner will believe. Are we together? We know that whenever the teacher says here, you must bring me what and what. And if you went back home and you tell your parents, Mr. Roy, I say I must do this, A, B, C, and D. And the parents say, but it's impossible. What are you normally telling your parents? You say, the teacher has said. So the teacher should know that whatever you are going to tell the learners around the vaccines, that is exactly what will happen at the end of the day. So if you are not yet vaccinated and you have some doubts, you are an educated person, Google, get information as much as possible. Convince yourself, get vaccinated, so you can be able to spread the message freely without no doubt, so that the learners in this campaign in particular can be a success at the end of the day.
Next up, in unfortunate news, a swarm of locusts on the Keetmanshoop and Marienthal B1 road claimed 3 lives, causing a car accident.
There was 2 boys that coming from Keetmanshoop that we went so that we can tomorrow there will be athletics at the airport. So we was two, me and my friend. We were going to the airport athletics, and then we thought that we are going to Windhoek and compete in Windhoek, so that tomorrow morning we are going to the airport and then complete the athletics. So when we went in the road there was many locusts. So the locusts caused the accident.
One of the critically injured passengers is Nino Santiro, who is an 18-year-old learner from Keetmanshoop Secondary School. His parents says that his condition is stable, but his injuries are still severe. On Monday morning, the learners and teachers of Keetmanshoop Secondary School gathered around to light a candle and have a prayer session to keep Nino Santiro in their prayers for his speedy recovery. Now we head over to Kois, where we speak to her caretaker of Bernardine Roy, who lost her arm due to negligence of a nurse at the State Hospital of Keetmanshoop. And this is what she had to say.
Die kinders in 2017, die 29ste is hulle gebore, Desember gebore, en in Februarie maand 2018 is die hand. Sy was hulle in broeikas gewees, hulle was in die broeikas, en terwyl in broeikas was het hulle mos hierdie naamplaatjie omgesit. En nadat hulle die naamplaatjie omgesit het, het die hand die bloed naar voorkant toe gegaan en die bloed het gaan gestol in die hand. En toe het hulle vir haar Windhoek toegestuur, sy die ma Windhoek toegestuur, en Windhoek toegestuur, en dis hoe hulle die hand afgeverwyder het. Nadat hulle die hand verwyder het, hulle in Keetmans gekom, en toe hulle in Keetmans kom, toe het die dokter vir my laat ingekom om die kinders in my sorg te neem, want hulle was altyd ook ondervoed gewees. Oma, nou wat het met my, was my ander hand. Want die ander kinders het 2 hande, hoekom het ek net 1 handje? En toe daar verduidelik en gesê, ek was in 'n hospitaal, en toe het hulle die bandjie omgesit. Die bandjie omgesit en toe het hulle ja, bandjie te styf vastgemaak en die dokter jou hand afgesny. Nou sê sy, nee oma, ek gaan nie weer dokter, ek sal nooit weer dokter toe gaan. Ek gaan mos nie meer dokter toe. Dit is net Boeddha wat met dokter toe gaan. So. Wil jy iets sê? Is dat? Soek jy jou hand. Ek gee weer 'n hand.
That has brought us to the end of today's news segment. Now we head over to our interview where we get to speak to Marta, who is from Koses, and she is a young lady struggling to find a job, but managed to start her own garden and is currently selling the vegetables for an income. And this is what she had to say.
Wat alles plant jy? Dis rooie peter.
Green pepper.
Dis onions, is baie.
Kan terug weer.
Hier is dit nou.
Draai net.
Praat maar.
Kijk maar.
Pumpkins. What?
Die kos.
For a young person, because it's very hard. Every morning you wake up, you must probably thinking, what's there to eat? What's there to do? If you are not doing anything, what are you going to do? The kids is hungry, there's nothing in the house. So it's only the school which is probably just saving now. So I had to do something. So I was just living in the garden. So I had to do something. I like to just rely on my boyfriend maybe come and give me something but to do because I planned job, prepare for my backyard. So I had to prepare my backyard and then I was receiving from the LDC the seeds and then I had to plan and it was going well. A lot of us, lots of us, especially for the campaign.
Taking a look at the weather for the south, Rehoboth is forecast temperatures in the lower 30s along with plenty of sun. Marienthal is sunny but warmer, while Keetmanshoop is mostly sunny and pleasant with milder temperatures. Karasburg is sunny and pleasant with a low of 25 degrees expected on Friday, whereafter it will warm up again. And finally, Lüderitz is mostly sunny and pleasant with temps in the mid to upper 20s.
Well, that has brought us to the end of today's show. The long Easter weekend is approaching, and I just wish you all safe travels, and I hope that you enjoy the time, spending this off time with loved ones. Safe travels, take care, don't worry, we'll see each other again next week, Wednesday, same time, same place, but it's a goodbye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition